Reconciliation of religion with Dharma means meeting up of religion with Dharma. It also means that our Dharma is complete in itself, but not religion. Why? And that's all we are going to discuss about this. Why I'm bringing this very important topic before you is basically having a strong background. And it's really common these days that a large section of our country, including youth, graduated, and those who have got good qualifications, often criticize the term secularism. We all know the word secularism was added to our Indian Constitution's preamble in 42nd Amendment. Ever since, we can see there have been lot of criticism on it, and people often end up showing and forcefully exerting their demand of the elimination of the same secularism from Indian Constitution preamble. Why it is so? So to have the answer of this question, I'm just trying to reconcile of religion with dharma. Why dharma? As I told you that dharma is complete in itself. It's not religion. If religion were complete, I really don't think that people would be even having any discomfort with the term secularism. So if you ask the one who really holds grudges or any antagonism against this very culture of secularism in a democratic country like India, you can ask him why does he or she wants that the secularism must be eliminated from the preambles of the constitution. He or she will end up saying one thing, that it really doesn't serve the function as the dharma could do. So one thing which is really clear is that it is dharma which is more needful and could be even more significant. So therefore, most of the people demand that the word secularism must be replaced with dharma, and everything would be sorted out automatically. And that is what all the discussion is all about. Guys, this is me, Robin, and I keep bringing these topics before you. And we really do a lot of efforts. Whatever we speak, it is all based on our self research, and that research is basically extracted from academic books. Why I'm emphasizing academic books? Because it is not politically motivated books. These books are used for preparations such as UPSC examinations or other forms of examinations for administrative services. So it holds relevancy comparing to those which are governed by political intentions, because most of the books which are governed by political intentions are usually based on argumentative aspect of the author, or you can say it is all based on assumption. So I really don't want you to engage with assumptions, and rather I would like you to just participate in entire data. So therefore I am presenting this topic. So I have a request that please, if you like the content, at least give your acknowledgement through your comment, through your like, through your subscription, or any sort of change in the way we serve knowledge or present things before you. Please do let us know through your comment, and that what we really uh, at least expect from you. So, beginning with the topic, reconciliation of religion with Dharma. Remember, as I talked about the background of it, now that was the one background. Other background is which is very manifested in current situation. For example, these days, a conflict can easily be seen arising on issues such as religious procession, such as sounds which is used for religious purpose, loudspeaker, right? These days, there is also a trend that if two people, opposite genders, come from different religion, meet together, they are often termed as something which is really unacceptable, especially in our current society, or which is seen as an assault on one's religion. This has been very common these days, and therefore the demand of the elimination of the word secular has been amplified, and over the time it has become even more just because of the instances of communal violence is also increasing somewhat, right? So that is all the basic reason. Now you might be confused. The topic which I basically brought up before you, where I'm talking about reconciliation or reuniting religion with dharma, and I'm ending up with the word secularization, how it is all connected. So let's first figure it out. Secularization is basically a mechanism in our constitution, or it is also in the constitution of western country, where it helps govern or the practice of religion among different communities from different castes, creeds, races. So it is basically a tool which helps religion to be practiced by these people. So, to be working on religion, we have to first settle up with this uh, secularism, which is basically an instrument or tool. Therefore, people are really uh, adamant about this and their demand for uprooting it from the Indian constitution. So, this is all the background. Now, I want to bring you to the main body of today's discussion. Why I'm talking about it? Because this is the right time. And for this, we need to understand India, Bharat, in its true nature. And until we understand Bharat or India in its true nature, we cannot comprehend the real nature of India and the importance of religion in India, right? So, for example, one may ask this very question, what our constitution has to say about religion. Now, to this question, I would say that our constitution doesn't have a one single defined statement which could give a complete definition of religion. This is right, or this is exactly the fact which I'm sharing with you. Yes, we don't have any exact definition of the word religion. Does it mean that we haven't concluded religion at all ever? No, not at all. In fact, we have given crude definitions of religion. And what is the best part of this crude definition is that most of the definitions are somewhere meeting up with the elements of dharmic value. Now, are you able to connect the purpose for why I'm creating this video is specifically the point where I started it, that reconciliation of religion with dharma. And now I'm ending up saying that there are a number of observations being made by different jurists or different philosophers in India, especially post independence, where they conclude religion in many ways. For example, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Everyone knows about this famous figure. He was the second president of the country, right? He was one of the greatest philosophers, and he has done a remarkable job, especially in understanding people about Indian dharmic values, because his principal Upanishad is one of those favorite work which I think uh, one should at least read in their lifetime. I recommend it personally, right? So he says about religion that, and this is very common, by the way, because this world is mysterious to all of us, isn't it? And since it is a mysterious world, it is not adequate for us to be trying to absorb and assimilate everything around us with the help of reason or with the help of senses. So, therefore, we have to gather a certain kind of force or certain kind of instrument which could really help us understand this mystery of the world. And for this, we introduce the term religion. Now, how impactful it is. In fact, it is one that could be somewhere traced in the definition of dharmic values in some of the Upanishads, right? Because the world is full of mysteries and you have to understand this mystery. So you must have something to understand. So religion is that process. Spirituality or spiritualism is one of those practice which can help you do that. Now we have other uh, person, a known figure, uh, Max Weber. Max Weber is basically a German philosopher, socialist, and he has done a remarkable job in the same field. What he says is that, and it is also acceptable through our experiences. So, according to him, religion is basically a kind of remedy to those people who are not able to agree the very incongruencies of life. For example, we often find that when people hard works a lot and when in return he doesn't get a result which basically he was expecting and which must be at least according to the degree of hard work he has put in, he often goes into the state of despondency. Why? Because he never expected from the nature that he has been quite sophisticated, quite hardworking, quite honest throughout his work, but at the same time, he miserably fails. Now, at this point of time, how you are going to reconcile yourself with this very kind of result, with this kind of happening, which is basically a misfortune, right? And on the other side, you see your neighbor has never been so much busy in hard work. In fact, he the one was always seen as the one careless person in the society. And one day a news flashes where this man has got something unexpectedly and without his doing hard work. Now, can you observe this kind of conflict or incongruencies or inconsistency arising in a society? So, on the one hand, we say there is a God, and on the other hand, when we say how it could be possible that such thing is happening under the tutelage of God. So, to basically give agreement or consent to all these events, which are basically beyond our observation, beyond our perceptions or agreement, we basically use the term or the instrument called religion. So, religion then comes in, does this intervention, and helps us why it is so. So we have number of slokas in the Bhagavad Gita, or there are several such hymns, especially or the chantings in Rig Vedas, where you will learn that they are all talking about the the significance of work and not even taking interest in talking about the result. So can you please just try to reconnect all these things, so how it is all working? So many such definitions which are basically incomplete definition, but if you combinedly read and observe it, you will find that they are somewhere completing the very requirement what basically is required for someone to be dharmic. So to say this, that the word secularism is just simply a term which has been just uh, taken or borrowed from Western countries and has been applied in the same manner. Now, let me also bring you to the fact which also gives you a kind of a deeper understanding. Now, the term secularism in India is often used distinctively different from the way it is used in Western countries. I mean, if you go to any Western countries, you will find that they have separated religion from their state, which means there is no interference of state in religious process. But in our country, we are little bit positive about it. So one may ask this question, why it is so? Now we have some legal jurist, famous legal jurist. For example, P.K. Tripathi is one of those famous legal jurists. He talks about is that secularism in a positive term is an inevitable practice or tool. If we don't use it, the country will take no time to disintegrate it, which means is that we have to use or take help our state intervention in managing the religious process or the religious activities of the people belonging to different communities. So this country is full of diversities. And imagine if we apply the very term secularism as it is applied in Western context, then imagine what is then going to be the condition or the scene of this country. Therefore, secularism is often used in that way. Now, are you able to connect? And I think you are with me till now. Now, moving to the next point is that when we have already known everything, then why we still criticize it? Now, to answer this question, I think I don't think we need to be very uh, cautious about it, just because of we have seen that the religion has become a part of the state, and state is basically governed by politicians. Politicians are much governed by their fancies or the power, and therefore it becomes quite reasonable for them, not for the citizens of the country, or it's a likely situation that they will try to manipulate with this very instrument called secularism. So then comes a question whether religion in our country is divisive or synthesizing. I think I really don't need to answer to this question, because religion is always divisive in this country, especially post independence, because religion is basically interfered by the state politicians. So you will hardly see in Hyderabad that any Muslim leader, after becoming a candidate for the election and losing the same election. And so is the condition with Indian politics, in a sense, the politicians of North India, that they are uh, being a candidate and they are losing their election. Religion plays a very crucial role on this very part. Now, what else is with us, which is what I'm going to discuss now. Now, remember, as I'm talking about the word secularism, we need to understand the efforts that our constitutions and the jurists have made so far. And it is not just we have adopted it for no reasons, but we have multitude of reasons, valid reasons for adopting it. I'm just more interested in bringing your favor or your attention to this very part, which is basically dealing with 25 25th article of the Indian Constitution. Remember, it basically deals with a situation where it says that people or the citizens of the country have full right or the fundamental right to practice their religion. Faith, thought means freedom of conscious. Freedom of conscious is not just alone. It is basically a compromise. It is basically a composition of four other elements, as I have already discussed: faith, worship, thought, right? And several other such things which basically deals with your psychological activities, right? Now, after we introduced the secular term in our country, it was basically for one reason, that the same country has been also shared by such community which was not allowed to have equal participation in religious procession, in religious activities. I'm talking about you know uh, the downtrodden society, the society which were living at margins. They were not allowed to even take an entry into into the temple. So, in this way, religion or the constitution, oh, sorry, secularism became a tool for all of these people. So, are you able to grasp how the secularism is really helping, and how the secularism can meet with the varied of demands or the expectations of people which are constantly popping up from different communities? And therefore we use this very secular concept, not for other reason. Other reason which is also equally important, that what if we never use the term secularism, then would then be possible for a society to be doing religious reconstruction? Now, what this religious reconstruction, let me tell you a little bit about it. India is a country which was always governed and is still being governed by dharmic value to a certain extent. Religion has a specific role to play in the entire country, right? But when the same religion becomes a certain kind of uh, problem, where people misuse the power of religion, especially the one who's sitting at the authority, then it becomes a need for reformers to come and reform this. And therefore, this very process of religious reconstructions begins. Swami Vivekananda, Raja Ram Mohan Rai, who was basically called the father of modern India, Dayanand Saraswati. There are several such reformers who often came and tried to reform. And that was only possible just because of we were willing to meet with dharmic values. So we were always inclined towards dharmic value, not religious values. But the term we use religion just because of we want that anyhow the religion could be settled up in Indian society, because the time when we use this instrument called secularism, we have to justify this very secularism in Indian context. Otherwise, it would be really difficult to survive in this country if secularism is not there to help you, right? Other possible reasons, how we can forget Devdasi temple prostitution is one of those blot on Indian civilization. It was only possible due to state intervention into the matter. So, are you able to connect it? It is just only through the state intervention we really got this results. Otherwise, we would see this Devdasi practice still be a part of current society. How many of us know that human trafficking, which we also have a specific act for, ITPA, which also deals with the same situations, that people, specifically girls, women, and kids, forlorn kids, who are basically accommodated in temple, and thereafter they are then made devotees of God. And at the end of the day, they were exploited sexually. They were, smuggled from one place to other. And rich people, people sitting at the authority, were involved in this entire exploitation uh, process. And this could be stopped just because of state intervention. So we have numerous such reasons for which we can say that secularism in our country is really important. We cannot deny the significance of secularism in the name that it really doesn't meet up with dharmic values. And therefore, we often try to reconcile of secularism with dharmic values. And how do we do that? We have already discussed, such as by doing religious reconstructions. So reformers have responsibilities and onus on them to try to make things possible. It is all on us. How do we understand it? Right? So, guys, are you able to understand this very significant point which I am trying to convey to you? Why it is important to reconcile of secularism with dharma rather than vociferously demanding for the elimination of the word secularism. Because if you apply dharma in this country, I believe that it is not going to be easy for all of us. I give you few strong reasons and then leave it to you. How do you understand that? If you understand dharma of our country, or the way it is basically explained in Bhagavad Gita or Rig Vedas or in Upanishads, we find that it is entirely working on psychologically plane of people, which means we believe more in making people virtuous rather than making them follow rules. Now it appears to be more idealistic, but we lived that era, we lived that phase. Our entire focus was centered on how we can make person a complete human rather than that animal who performs like a man but out of fear of punishment. Now imagine if we apply dharmic values now, how many of us would be really taking it seriously? And this has been a core problem with dharmic values. So dharmic values were basically applicable to the time when it was a Vedic age, right? And therefore everyone wants themselves to be identified that Vedic age because it was the golden period, because it was the time when dharmic values were applicable and enforced to people. So there was no as such rule of punishment which actually forced people to behave properly. People behaved appropriately in themselves without having, because they had a realization of the duty. So, one thing which could be stretched out or extended here is that religion deals with only your worshipping of God. But dharmic values or dharma includes three things. First, your moral values. Second, your duties towards society. And third, your personal understanding or ability to perceive things, how you are connected to your surroundings. Because the time when you perceive that you are connected to the things around you, you end up realizing the very core principle of Advaita, which says that we all are united. And once this feeling emerges and is perceived, then we realize that it is completely inappropriate to even act immorally against a person who doesn't even have a blood relations with us, because then we can see the same soul in that person as it lies in us. So this is the basic reason why we cannot replace religion with dharma, and therefore we should insist more on reconciling religion with Dharma, which means we have to continue this reforming process of religion until it meets up with the very dharmic values. And if we do that, I think it would be a biggest success for us. So I hope you understood the point which I was trying to convey to you. I hope you will understand the need for why we talk about, or why we should talk about, that secularism is really a needful instrument, at least at this point of time. So before we criticize it, I think it's a right time to have a detailed understanding about it. And it's really good that if we understand in the current context, rather than we understand the way it is shown or it is imposed on us by some politically motivated people. This is our responsibility and we have to deal it more carefully. So this is what I wanted to share with you. I hope you would appreciate the effort which I am trying to make before you. Any personal query, any personal problems with the given video or anything apart from the previous video, please do let us know your personal share your experience through your comment, through your likes, through your subscription. Till then, take care. Bye bye.